Giri Bharadhari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhova Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhova Kunda Bihari Gopi Jana Malaba Giri Bharadhari. Actually, the deities are opening. I'm going to go see the deities. Give me 1 second. Jai Shiva. Okay, continuing. Sorry for the delay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Wow, you hear the bell. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Balaba Giri Bharadhari Gopi Jana Balaba Giri Bharadhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Ballabha Giri Bharadhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Giri Bharadhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhova Kunja Bihari. So Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravatikacharya, also Teta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Savaya Chalanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shiva Siddhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Sayam Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindhavaram Ki Jai Mathuranam Ki Jai Jagannathaswamy Kajai Munamai Kajai. Shrimati Lasi Devi Kajai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Kajai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Gaur. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Gaur. So Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Budale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharni Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarni. So there's going to be a little bit of a challenge giving class with this loud bell in the background. So Om Gana Tividanda Shah Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Unmeritam Yena Tasmai Shigaraveda Maha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. Okay, so now we're going to continue reading from Krishna Book. Now, somehow or other in this computer, I didn't get the diacritics set up properly. So we'll have to just tolerate as if you're reading along. So we're reading from the Krishna Book, chapter 83, which is entitled Draupadi Meets the Queens of Krishna. So let me just get this set up. Tomorrow it should be better. I haven't used this computer in a few days, a few months actually. So Draupadi meets the queens of Krishna. There are many visitors who came to see Krishna, and among them were the Pandavas, headed by King Yudhishthira. After talking with the gopis and bestowing upon them the greatest benediction, Lord Krishna welcomes King Yudhishthira and the other relatives who had come to see him. He first of all inquired from them whether their situation was auspicious. Actually, there's no question of ill fortune for anyone who sees the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Yet when Lord Krishna, as a matter of etiquette, inquired from King Yudhishthira about his welfare, the king became very happy by such a reception and addressed the Lord thus: "My dear Lord Krishna, great personalities and devotees in full Krishna consciousness always think of your lotus feet and remain fully satisfied by drinking the nectar of transcendental bliss. The nectar which they constantly drink sometimes comes out of their mouths and is sprinkled on others as the narration of your transcendental activities. This nectar coming from the mouth of a devotee is so powerful that if one is fortunate enough to have the opportunity to drink it, he is immediately freed from the continuous journey of birth and death. Our material existence is caused by our forgetfulness of your personality. But fortunately, the darkness of forgetfulness is immediately dissipated if one is privileged to hear about your glories. Therefore, my dear Lord, where is the possibility of ill fortune for one who is constantly engaged in hearing your glorious activities? Since we are fully surrendered unto you and have no other shelter than your lotus feet, we are always confident of our good fortune. My dear Lord, you're the ocean of unlimited knowledge and transcendental bliss. The reactions of mental concoctions in the three phases of material life, wakefulness, sleep, and deep sleep, cannot exist in Krishna consciousness. All such reactions are invalidated by the practice of Krishna consciousness. You are the ultimate destination of all liberated persons. Out of your independent will only, you have descended to this earth by the use of your own internal potency, Yoga Maya. And to reestablish the Vedic principles of life, you've appeared just like an ordinary human being. Since you are the supreme person, There cannot be any ill luck for one who is fully surrendered unto you. When Lord Krishna was busy meeting various kinds of visitors, and while they were engaged in offering prayers to the Lord, the female members of the Kuru dynasty and the Yadu dynasty took the opportunity to meet with one another and engage in talk of Lord Krishna's transcendental pastimes. The first inquiry was made by Draupadi to the wives of Lord Krishna. She addressed them, "My dear Rukmini, Bhadra, Jambavati, Satya, Satyavama, Kalindi, Shaibya, Mitravinda, Lakshmana, Rohini, and all other wives of Lord Krishna. Will you please let us know how Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, accepted you as his wives and married you in pursuance of the marriage ceremonies of ordinary human beings?" Very interesting question. To this question, the chief of the queens, Rukmini Devi, replied, "My dear Draupadi, it was practically a settled fact that princes like Jarasandha wanted me to marry King Shishupal. And as usual, all the princes present during the marriage ceremony were prepared with their armor and weapons to fight with any rival who dared to stop the marriage. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead kidnapped me the way a lion takes away a lamb from the flock. This was not, however, a wondrous act for Lord Krishna, because anyone who claims to be a great hero or king within this world is subordinate to the lotus feet of the Lord. All kings touch their helmets to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. My dear Draupadi, it is my eternal desire that life after life I be engaged in the service of Lord Krishna, who is the reservoir of all pleasure and beauty. This is my only desire and ambition in life. After this, Satyabhama began to speak. She said, "My dear Draupadi, my father was very much afflicted by the death of his brother Prasena, and he falsely accused Lord Krishna of killing his brother and stealing the Shaimantaka jewel, which had actually been taken by Jambavan. Lord Krishna, in order to establish his pure character, fought with Jambavan and rescued the Shaimantaka jewel, which he later delivered to my father. My father was very much ashamed and sorry for accusing Lord Krishna of his brother's death. After getting back the Shaimantaka jewel, he thought it wise to rectify his mistake. So although he had promised others my hand in marriage, he submitted the jewel and me at the lotus feet of Krishna. And thus I was accepted as his maidservant and wife." After this, Jambavati replied to Draupadi's question. She said, "My dear Draupadi, when Lord Krishna attacked my father Jambavan, the king of the, anyway, the king of the bears, my father did not know that Lord Krishna was his former master, Lord Ramachandra, the husband of Sita. Not knowing the identity of Lord Krishna, my father fought with him continuously for 27 days. After this period, when he became fatigued, he could understand that since no one but Lord Ramchandra could defeat him, his opponent, Lord Krishna, must be the same Lord Ramchandra. He thus came to his senses and immediately returned the Shaimantaka jewel. Furthermore, to satisfy the Lord, he presented me to him to become his wife. In this way, I was married to the Lord, and thus my desire to be a servitor of Krishna life after life was fulfilled." After this, Kalindi said, "My dear Draupadi, I was engaged in great austerities and penances to get Lord Krishna as my husband. When he became aware of this fact, he very kindly came to me with his friend Arjuna and accepted me as his wife. Lord Krishna then took me away from the bank of the Yamuna, and since then I have been engaged in the house of Lord Krishna as a sweeper, and the Lord is treating me as his wife." So this is very interesting. She says, "I've been engaged as a sweeper." So this shows the abject humility of Krishna's devotees, particularly Krishna's wives. Like Rukmini, she would personally render service to Krishna. Not only that, but when Brahmins would come, like Sudama Brahman, she would personally render service to the Brahmins. So there was no false ego on their part. So this is an essential quality if one wants to make advancement in devotional service and be a devotee of Krishna. One has to cultivate amanina, manadena, kirtaniya sadahari, has to cultivate trinadapi, sunichena, thurari vasihishnana, amanina, manadena, kirtaniya sadahari. That means always being more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others. So after this, Mitra Vinda said, "My dear Draupadi, there was a great assembly of princes at my Swayamvara ceremony, the personal selection of a husband. Lord Krishna was also present in that meeting, and he accepted me as his maidservant by defeating all the princes there. He immediately took me away to Dwarka, exactly as a lion takes his prey from a pack of dogs. When I was thus taken away by Lord Krishna, my brothers wanted to fight him, and later they were defeated. Thus, my desire to become the maidservant of Krishna life after life was fulfilled." After this, Satya addressed Draupadi in this way: "My dear Draupadi, my father arranged for an assembly for my Swayamvara, and to test the strength and heroism of the prospective bridegrooms, he stipulated that they each fight with his 7 ferocious bulls, which had long, sharp horns. Many heroic prospects tried to defeat the bulls, but unfortunately, they were all severely struck, and they returned to their homes as defeated invalids. When Lord Sri Krishna came and fought with the bulls, they were just like playthings for him. He captured the bulls and roped each one of them by the nostrils. Thus they came under his control, just as a goat's small kids come very easily under the control of children. My father was very much pleased and married me to Lord Krishna with great pomp, giving as my dowry many divisions of soldiers, horses, chariots, and elephants, along with hundreds of maidservants. Thus, Lord Krishna brought me back to his capital city, Dwarka. On the way back, he was assaulted by many princes, but Lord Krishna defeated all of them, and thus I have the privilege of serving his lotus feet as a maidservant." Very interesting. After this, Bhadra began to speak. She said, "My dear Draupadi, Lord Krishna is the son of my maternal uncle. Fortunately, I became attracted to his lotus feet. When my father understood these feelings of mine, he personally arranged for a marriage, inviting Lord Krishna to marry me and giving him in dowry 1 akshahini, or division of armed forces, along with many maidservants and other royal paraphernalia. I do not know whether I shall be able to have the shelter of Lord Krishna life after life, but still I pray to the Lord that wherever I may take my birth, I may not forget my relationship with his lotus feet." Then Lakshmana said, "My dear queen, many times I heard the great sage Narada glorifying the pastimes of Lord Krishna. I became attracted to the lotus feet of Krishna when I heard Narada say that the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, was attracted to his lotus feet. Since then, I've always been thinking of him, and thus my attraction for him has increased. My dear queen, my father was very affectionate toward me when he understood that I was attracted to Krishna. He devised a plan like that devised by your father during the Swayamvara. The prospective bridegrooms had to pierce the eyes of a fish with their arrows. The difference between the competition in your Swayamvara and mine was that in yours, the fish was hanging openly on the ceiling in clear view. But in mine, the fish was covered and could be seen only by its reflection in a pot of water. That was the special feature of my Swayamvara." The news of this device spread all over the world, and when the princes heard of it, they arrived at my father's capital city from all directions, fully equipped with armor and guided by their military instructors. Each of them desired to win me as his wife, and one after another they raised the bow and arrow left there for piercing the fish. Many could not even join the bowstring to the 2 ends of the bow, and without attempting to pierce the fish, they simply left the bow as it was and went away. Some with great difficulty drew the string from one end to the other, but being unable to tie the other end, they were suddenly knocked down by the spring-like bow. My dear queen, you'll be surprised to know that at my Swayamvara meeting, There were many famous kings and heroes present. Heroes like Jarasandha, uh, um, I don't know what that word is, Shishupal, Bhimasen, Duryodhana, and Karna were, of course, able to string the bow, but they could not pierce the fish because it was covered and they could not trace it out from the reflection. The celebrated hero of the Pandavas, Arjuna, was able to see the reflection of the fish in the water, but all with great care, he traced out the location of the fish and shot an arrow. He did not pierce the fish in the right spot, but his arrow at least touched the fish. So he proved himself better than all the other princes. All the princes who tried to pierce the target were disappointed, being baffled in their attempts, and some candidates even left the place without making an attempt. But when at last Lord Krishna took up the bow, he was able to tie the bowstring very easily, just as a child plays with a toy. He placed the arrow, and looking only once at the reflection of the fish in the water, he shot the arrow and pierced the fish, and the pierced fish immediately fell down. This victory of Lord Krishna was accomplished at noon, during the moment called Abhijit, which is astronomically calculated as auspicious. At that time, the vibration of Jai Jai was heard all over the world, and from the sky came sounds of drums beaten by the denizens of heaven. Great demigods were overwhelmed with joy and showered flowers on the earth. At that time, I entered the arena of competition, and the ankle bells of my legs sounded very melodious as I walked. I was nicely dressed in new silken garments, flowers decorated my hair, and because of Lord Krishna's victory, I was in ecstatic joy and smiling very pleasingly. I carried in my hands a golden necklace bedecked with jewels, which glittered at intervals. My curling hair encircled my face, which shone with a bright luster due to the reflection of the various earrings. My eyes blinking, I first observed all the princes present, and when I reached my lord, I very slowly placed the golden necklace on his neck. As I've already informed you, from the very beginning, my mind was attracted by Lord Krishna. And thus I considered the garland of my Lord my great victory. As soon as I placed my garland on the neck of the Lord, there sounded immediately the combined vibration of mridangos, panavas, and anaga drums, conch shells, kettle drums, and other instruments causing a tumultuous sound. And while the music played, expert male and female dancers began to dance, and singers began to sing sweetly. My dear Draupadi, when I accepted Lord Krishna as my worshipable husband, and he accepted me as his maidservant, there was a tumultuous roaring among the disappointed princes. All of them were very agitated because of their lusty desires, but without caring for them. My husband, in his form as the four-handed Narayan, immediately took me on the chariot, which was drawn by 4 excellent horses. Expecting opposition from the princes, he armored himself and took up his bow named Shanga. And then our celebrated driver, Daruka, drove the beautiful chariot without a moment's delay toward the city of Dwarka. Thus, in the presence of all the princes, I was carried away very quickly, exactly as a deer is carried away from a flock by a lion. Some of the princes, however, wanted to check our progress, and thus equipped with proper weapons, they opposed us just as dogs try to oppose the progressive march of a lion. At that time, due to the arrows released by the Shanga bow of Lord Krishna, some of the princes lost their hands, some of them lost their legs, some lost their heads and their lives, and others fled from the battlefields. The Supreme Personality of Godhead then entered the most celebrated city of the universe, Dwarka, and as he entered the city, he appeared like the shining sun. The whole city of Dwarka was profusely decorated on that occasion. There were so many flags and festoons and gates all over Dwarka that the sunshine could not even enter the city. I have already told you that my father was very affectionate to me. So when he saw that my desire had been fulfilled by my getting Lord Krishna as my husband, in great happiness, he began to distribute to friends and relatives various kinds of gifts, such as valuable garments, ornaments, bedsteads, and sitting carpets. Lord Krishna is always self-sufficient. Yet my father, out of his own accord, offered my husband a dowry consisting of riches, soldiers, elephants, chariots, horses, and many rare and valuable weapons. He presented all these to the Lord with great enthusiasm. My dear queen, at that time, I could guess that in my previous life, I must have performed some wonderfully pious activity, and as a result, I can in this life be one of the maidservants in the house of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When all the principal queens of Lord Krishna had finished their statements, Rohini, as the representative of the 16,000 queens, began to narrate the incident of their becoming wives of Krishna. My dear queen, when Bhaumasura was conquering all the world, he collected whatever possible, all the beautiful daughters of the kings, and kept us arrested within his palace. When news of our imprisonment reached Lord Krishna, he fought with Bhaumasura and released us. Lord Krishna killed Bhaumasura and all of his soldiers, and although he had no need to accept even one wife, he nevertheless, by our request, married all 16,000 of us. Phew. My dear queen, our only qualification was that we were always thinking of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, which is the way to release one from the bondage of repeated birth and death. My dear Queen Draupadi, please take it from us that we are not after any opulence such as a kingdom, an empire, or a position of heavenly enjoyment. We do not want to enjoy such material opulences, nor do we desire to achieve the yogic perfections, nor the exalted post of Lord Brahma, nor do we want any of the different kinds of liberation, Sarupya, Salokya, Samipya, Sarshti, or Sayuja. We are not at all attracted by any of these opulences. Our only ambition is to bear on our heads, life after life, the dust of particles attached to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. The goddess of fortune also desires to keep that dust on her breast along with fragrant saffron. We simply desire this dust, which accumulates underneath the lotus feet of Lord Krishna as he travels on the land of Vrindavan as a coward boy. The gopis especially, and also the coward men and the aborigine tribeswomen, always desire to become the grass and straw on the streets of Vrindavana, to be trampled on by the lotus feet of Krishna. My dear queen, we wish to remain as such life after life without any other desire. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 83rd chapter of Krishna. Draupadi meets the queens of Krishna. So, because I'm in a place where there's thunderstorms and everything like that, we'll end our reading, but we can take some questions right now. Give me a second. So we'll allow you to unmute yourselves. So here's a question in the chat window. Hare Krishna, Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Is the number of wives of Lord Krishna fixed at 16,108 in every pastime in different universe? Does it change universe to universe? I don't know. You have to ask Krishna. Of course, Krishna can marry unlimited wives, so there's no question of that he is limited to 16,108. So anyway, you'll have to ask Krishna that, or you have to ask his wives in different universes. So anybody else have a question? You can type in the chat window, or you can raise your hand or unmute yourself if you like.
Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances.
Okay, Rakesh, so what's up?
Can't talk.
You can't talk.
No.
Well, if you can't talk.
Oh, yes, I can talk. I can talk, yes. Gurudev, what is the difference between pious activity and transcendental activity?
Pious activity is activities in the mode of goodness. Transcendental activity is service to Krishna, which is called Vishuddha Sattva, the purified goodness. There's a vast difference. Any activity that's in the mode of goodness is pious activity. Any activity that is for service to Krishna is transcendental. That's the difference. Okay, what other questions do we have here? So someone can raise their hand. How much should we, whoops, okay, hold on a second. We got some questions here in the chat window. There's another question. I had this question before. How much should we be worried about astronomical auspicious time when we do activities as aspiring devotees? When we do spiritual activities, we do not worry at all about auspicious times or inauspicious times. I remember one time, this is a funny story, we had a GBC meeting and someone had actually planned it out that we couldn't enter the GBC meeting room until it was a specific second. He had a time to the second when it become auspicious. So it was like we were all waiting outside, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We went in. I said, now it's going to be an auspicious meeting. And actually the meeting wasn't so different than any other meeting. So as far as serving Krishna, we don't worry about that. But as far as certain arrangements in the material world, like if getting someone married or going on a trip, sometimes it's good to consult like that. Although, for serving Krishna, we don't really worry. Another one, Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj was wondering who was Kardama Muni in his previous life. I don't know. You have to look that up. I'm not Google Maharaj, Google Goswami, that you can just Google me and find out any particular detail. Unless it was actually there in the Shastras and I had read it or Prabhupada had said it. Interesting, Prabhupada said that if anyone says that Prabhupada said something, he didn't say it. Actually, there's many direct quotes. You can actually read that from Prabhupada. Prabhupada used to hear all these stories about what he was supposed to have said. And he said, basically, if anyone says that I said something, Prabhupada said something, Prabhupada didn't say it. So, any other questions? If not, we're going to end early because Okay. Okay, Gopal, you have a question.
Please accept my obeisance, Gurudev. You mentioned that activities performed in devotional service are transcendental, but sometimes we see that individuals will perform a particular activity that they say is transcendental or say is service to Krishna, but the result is not so pleasing to the Vaishnavas.
Then the activity is not transcendental.
So how do we determine
Shruti Smriti Puranadi Parancharatriki Bhim Vina? Everything has to be performed according to Shruti and Smriti with the right attitude and with devotion. Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yo Me Bhakti Prayachati, that one should offer me a leaf of fruit or a little water with love and devotion. Without that love and devotion, it's not transcendental. So it has to be offered. If you don't have love and devotion, it has to be offered with the desire to please Krishna's representative, the spiritual master.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just by saying we're doing something for Krishna doesn't mean we're doing it for Krishna. It actually has to be done in accordance with the Shruti and the Smriti. That means Vedic literatures and instructions of the spiritual master, Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. So another question. Hare Krishna Gurudev, please do my obeisance. It is said the other defeated princes would not respect the prince's selection of the bridegroom and still oppose their selection. Yeah, because they were so lusty. That's the problem with lust, that you don't really respect the etiquette that's there. Okay. I'm drowning with Dhritarashtra's around me. Oh my God. Someone is drowning with Dhritarashtra's around me, and the more I'm tolerating, the more I am being exploited. How should I? Don't allow yourself to be tolerated. Take shelter of Krishna's name. I mean, don't allow yourself to be exploited. Take shelter of Krishna's names and always be chanting Hare Krishna. And stand up for your own rights. You don't allow yourself to be exploited. You just say, no, I'm not going to do this. Stand up for your rights. I mean, you have definitely rights as an individual, but at the same time, be compassionate and kind to everybody, but don't allow yourself to be abused or exploited. Okay, we're going to end. I have to wait for a break in the rain to go back to the place where I'm staying. It's raining real hard and there may be a tornado. So everybody pray. Actually, I'm going to allow you all to see the deities. Hold on a second. I'll take this up. So, because I'm right in the temple room, that's where most of the internet is here. So let's go and see the deities. As long as we're here. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to be giving a class, or at least tomorrow morning, Eastern Standard Time. And let's see. Hold on a second. Oops. Let me switch the camera so we can see the deities. Okay. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. It's a little washed out, the camera, but you can see it's Gaur Nitai. This is in New Taliban, Mississippi. Big darshan. And then Shri Shri Radha Radhakanta in New Taliban, Mississippi. It's pretty bright. I don't think you can see too well, but you can see it. All right. Okay, so we're going to end this as the temple room. It's and it is raining hard outside. So pray that I will not get hit by a lightning bolt. Okay, we'll see everybody tomorrow. All glory is to his divine